Yeah, thank you so much, Vilma. So, welcome back again to the second session, which is a very interesting and technical session. And you would be actually doing um, an exercise where it will give you a good understanding and also a lot of hands-on practice on how you can really evaluate these jobs. Uh, Now, yesterday we just you know built the kind of a background context, saying that compensation is very critical in the organization. It is impacted by external factors, some of them being very very key are government regulations, supply and demand of labor, economic conditions, like if they are unionized, collective bargaining, etc. in the manufacturing organ, okay, and globalization. Thereafter, we looked at the components, the components of a compensation system, direct pay and indirect pay. Direct is all about cash, which is called monetary, and indirect is all about non-monetary, which is mostly benefits. Okay, you don't get direct cash, but you get all the benefits and the protection, paid leave, etc. Now, when we talked about the monetary cash, we also looked at base salary, variable pay, and deferred pay. Having said that, now every organization has a salary structure, right? How does a salary structure look like? A salary structure will have what? Certain grades, right? Or bands. Say, for example, in Tiwariji's organization, there may be 5 bands, there may be 6 bands, or say 8. You know, bands could also be grades. Now, every grade will have what? A salary range. This grade is, it has a salary range with a min and a max, minimum and a max. So when you actually interview a person for a particular job in a particular grade, so you know exactly that this guy has to be fitted between this min and max. Understood? Very clear? Now, how do we build these structures? Okay. So what we are actually going to learn today is how do we build internal equity, which means how do we actually establish fairness and equity in the way we build salary structures. Okay. In the last session, we talked about Adam's theory of motivation, which says that people are motivated only when they see their effort is equal to, or the input is equal to output. We said input is all about skill, education, experience, competencies, everything he puts in effort. Output is everything he gets, the salary, the reward, the recognition, the promotion, the vacations, everything. So only when he sees it's equal, there is fairness, there is equity. And I also stated that how does he get to know that that input is equal to output? There is no scientific logic. He is comparing it with others. Only when I compare myself with others and I'll say, hey, I'm getting less salary because I'm comparing with the market, or I'm also comparing it within the organization, right? So when you compare within the organization, you say it is, are the organizations paying, are they establishing internal equity? Like yesterday, I think Chanel asked, how do I know? So when there is no internal equity, can you tell me how people will behave? Especially internal equity comes into play when I get less increment, you get more increment, but I'm doing the same job. Why is the person getting more increment, and what? I will be disengaged, or I will leave the job, or I will reduce the productivity, right? These are some issues. There will be huge attrition because, hey, they are not paying. There is no fairness in the way they are actually paying. Or, for example, the new incumbent, two people doing the same job, but the new incumbent is getting higher salary, but the long timers are getting lesser salary because there was no market correction. All right. So this long timer will say, hey, this newcomer will just come, he's getting more than me. Isn't it? This is not fair. Have you come across such situations? I'm sure in organizations you have come across such situations where people who are there in the organization for a longer time with tenuity are getting lesser salary as in compared to a same job and who's just come on the board. So therefore, it's very, very important to establish internal equity. Now you may say, how do you establish internal equity? You know, I mean, how can we make out it is not there? But now, how do we establish or how do we build? How do we build? We actually have to pay as per the worth of the job or for the value of the job, not because senior manager HR, not because of a title you are paying. What is the worth of the job? What is the value of the job? Based on that, we need to build a salary structure. Okay. So when we do that, we actually use a technique called job evaluation. What is it? Job evaluation. Okay. Now, a lot of you may say, so is there a difference between job analysis and job evaluation? Job analysis is a systematic process of analyzing the job with the purpose of creating or what is the output? A job description. And what does a job description have? I'm sure this you must tell, right? One of you at least please volunteer to tell me what does a job description have? Hey guys.
Basically, day-to-day task which is given and allotted to the position.
Very, very important in an organization when you have been appointed, you have been recruited for manager HR, you will get a job description, which is a document stating that it's a description which gives you in detail the role and responsibilities of the job, the key skills and competencies required for the job, everything you need to do in the job, and will say it will also include any other on a time to time basis which which will come up. Okay, so it is a document which will tell you what exactly you need to do. So when we are talking about job evaluation, it is a systematic process of determining the relative worth, not absolute worth. Please understand, relative worth, not absolute worth, the relative worth of the job. Say, for example, in Niti's organization, there are 20 jobs across different functions, different job families. Now, I want to know, it could be what is the production, it could be finance, it could be HR. So there are various jobs, say about 50 jobs. Okay. Now, how do I build a salary structure saying which job should be paid how much? So, first of all, what do I need to do? I have to I have to find out, hey, put them into a hierarchy saying which job is higher worth, which job is of lower worth. Because once I know which is of a higher worth, then I know that that job has to be paid higher. Is that clear? I'm trying to put it in a simplistic way so that you can really understand. So when we talk about job evaluation, it is relative worth, not absolute worth. Okay, it's like in a class, you rank them, you put them in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, the first ranker is of the highest, then second, then third, then the fourth. So, when we talk about this job evaluation, it's a systematic process of determining the relative worth of the job. Then there are various methods. Now, in this session, and it might also extend to the other session, we're going to do 3 methods. One is the ranking method, the other is the job grading method, and then we will be doing the point rating method. There are other methods, we will talk about A method, it is almost like a point method. But I will tell you what the A method also comprises of. All right. So there are four methods. What we are going to do: ranking, job grading, point method, and we will also touch upon the Hayes method. These are all methods to do, or techniques to do job evaluation, to find out the relative worth of the job. Okay. Having said that, just to give you a little more clarity, the first and the foremost thing you need to do job evaluation is a job description. What do you need? Job description. Now, from where will you get a job description? When you do job analysis. Okay. So, you don't, whenever you are doing job evaluation, you can't say, oh, we have job descriptions, we will use the same. No, because it is evaluating the job and not the person, and what the job, the current job. You may have a job description which is outdated, written 10 years ago, and if I'm going to do job evaluation on that basis and then say, oh, this job has to get this much salary, don't you think you are actually doing what that guy who is actually in that position says, I'm doing much more? So you have to actually what, document the current job description of that position. And whenever you are doing this, you need to talk to people through job analysis, the people who are good performers, and understand what this job entails. Very clear, guys? Very clear? Okay. So you do job analysis, and job analysis can be done through various ways: observation, questionnaire method. Okay. But there is a very interesting tool you can do to how many, normally, how do you go about doing job descriptions? Anybody who can tell me how do you go about? Say, for example, Neeti has to do 50 job descriptions in an organization. How does she go about? How much time will you take?
Ma'am,
50 job.
basically, I'll tell you, we have the committee which is established in
Mhm.
our organization, and
Mm.
we have already created the job families for all the jobs currently we have. So, for example, if we have to create any new job description, so we have the committee and we have the respective department heads who are coming in. We take the inputs, we check the worth of the job, and then we prepare it. All the current responsibilities, job
Where did
descriptions and
birth of the job
responsibilities.
come? Huh? From where did the birth of the job come? Say, for example, it's a startup. I don't know. There are startups here. Maybe Smaran also has a startup. So there are no JDs. You have to create JDs. How will you go about? What is the tool you can use? Which is a very efficient and a quick tool, and within much lesser time. And most of the consultants use that. Even if you have to
I
do,
use
uh,
ChatGPT.
yeah.
I use ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT for my JD. So basically, I have a different process. So what we do is once we have a job openings within the organization, and in a startup, it is very common, right? Every 2 days, there's a new job that comes in because you're expanding at a longer stage. So what we do is then we have a debrief call with the manager to understand what exactly this person will do. Right. So
Mm,
we do
mm,
that as a part of our job analysis. So we basically collect the information. Then obviously what I do is, because of the bandwidth constraints that I get, I put all these data into ChatGPT, and
mm.
technically it gives me the job description that is required for this role. And then then obviously through ChatGPT we understand, okay, what is relevant to this role, what is relevant to the organization, and then we put that across as a part of the job description, and then it goes. And then that's how we do our job descriptions, at least the JDs that is prepared
It's a
within the
good
org.
idea. In fact, today ChatGPT gives a lot of relevant information. Yet you need to validate it. Okay. So I'll also give you an alternate way of doing things. All right. 1 second.
Can I share one quick input on this?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Okay. So when he said chat GPT, yes, very true. For example, I have one job description for finance job family, executive finance, right? And I need to create the job description for all the levels, right from level 1 to level 5. But I have only one job description. So what I do, I go to ChatGPT, I give the ChatGPT that this is the job description for level 1 or level 2. Now create all the levels, right from level 1 to level 5, given the years of experience, 0 to 2 years, 2 to 4 years, 4 to 5, 6 years, 7 to 10 years, in this template. The job role, the qualification, the experience range, which I have already defined, the skill sets, the roles and responsibilities, the technical and functional description, and the preferred qualifications. So I have given all the 7, 9 items to be covered in the job description. Basis the job description supplied to ChatGPT for level 2, and it will create all the levels accordingly, given the job description, one job description for all the rest of the job description with the scope of work. So at the early career, he is only going to take orders and do the job. Second, he will do, again, individual contributor. Third role, again, individual contributor with a little scope for handling team, or mentoring the team. Then at the senior manager, so it will also lay down the entire scope of levels, the scope of work, and what are the focus and the key areas, and the reporting. So it comes out very well. Once it is done, then I send the entire thing to the head of the department, that now you validate it vis-a-vis the job role holder does within your team. So they'll just quickly go through it, cross-check it. If they want to delete something, they'll remove it. If they want to add something, they would add it. So that is
Absolutely.
one rule.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So here there is no benchmark position where you can actually utilize. But also there is another method of doing, you can use this tool, which is interesting, called Own It Online. Okay. Has anybody used Own It Online? Okay. So what you need to do is just put the job for which you want to, a benchmark position. So say for example, HR, can you see my screen? MANAGR, HR manager. Enter. Okay. Now you can actually look at whether you want a compensation benefit manager, a human resource manager, whatever. Okay, we'll just look at this human resource manager. Now click on this. So what will it give you? It will give you a summary of all the roles and responsibilities, tasks, technologies, whatever this position does. Okay, this is only a summary. Can you see this? Task serves as a link between management, technology skills, work activities, etc. This is only a summary. Now, you can actually get a detailed benchmark position. So it lists out in the detail all the tasks. Like, for example, advises managers on organization policy matters, analyze and modify compensation, perform difficult staffing duties, etc. etc. Now, what do? I actually use the Google format and send it to 5 or 6 key stakeholders and say, hey, please tick, add, or delete if you think this role does not do those things. Okay. So by and large, by my experience, most of them actually agree, and maybe there will be 1 or 2 additions, or maybe 1 or 2 deletions. But probably if I've sent to 5 or 6 people, maybe 3, there is one point where 3 people agree and 2 people are not disagree. So what I do, I then say, hey, I then talk to them or send out a note saying that, can you clarify? And then further on, then forward this to the HOD so that he can validate the entire thing. And then all this can take such little time. Let me tell you guys, it's very quick. And this is free. And this is the US Labor Department site. Okay. It has about 3,500 to 4,000 job descriptions, free to use. And I mostly use this and as a consultant for a lot of my work. And it is very efficient and takes very less time. Okay. Any questions here? So you can use in today's times either a chat GPT or both ONET and chat GPT to validate, because whenever you have two sources, you can always validate it better. Got it? Okay. No questions? So the first and the foremost thing you need is a job description. Then once you have a job description, then how do you go about with the job evaluation? So I'm not covering the job analysis now. You know, a job descriptions look like this, with the job title, with all the essential duties, roles, responsibilities, and also whom does the position report into, etc. Okay. Then what we do let us talk about the ranking method. So we are doing a job evaluation using a ranking method. Okay. Not very, very scientific. Can be used for can be used for startups, and a little subjective. But nevertheless, most of the organizations who really can't afford a consultant can use this method and create a salary structure. Now, how do you do a paired comparison method, which is called a ranking method? This method is a qualitative method. B, it analyzes the whole job. It does not break up into parts like a point method. Okay. So in this method, you create what we call it as a compensation committee. Then who can be a part of the compensation committee? All the heads of the department who have a good understanding of the business, etc. And also sometimes the CEO. Say, for example, this is an organization which is like an ITS kind of an organization, which has how many positions? It has about 10 positions. Okay, you can see that there is a messenger, data processing manager, entry operator, executive secretary, and so on and so forth. So typically when we say paired comparison, you are actually comparing each and every job with the rest of the jobs, evaluating it and saying which job is higher. Okay. Step one, what do? The compensation committee evaluates, they take every job in their organization, all of them come together, then they come to a consensus saying, say, for example, we'll take data entry operator. Data entry operator, is this job higher than a messenger? Well, for us, it is very, very obvious. So we go by a title. But typically, when we do job evaluation, we don't go by a job title. We go by the job description. Okay. So now when you are evaluating, if this job is higher, you put a cross mark. Now you can't evaluate the same job. So it is just left open. Now, data entry operator, uh, uh, data, sorry, this is data. Data entry operator being evaluated with data processing manager. Is there a cross mark? No. That means data entry operator is lower than data processing manager. So it is left blank. Let's go to executive secretary. Data entry operator is lower than executive secretary. Data entry operator is lower than computer operator. So what you do, the compensation committee typically evaluates each job with the rest of the jobs, and if it finds that this job is higher than the other jobs, it puts a cross mark. So tell me, please, I want some participation. Data entry operator is higher in how many jobs? Yeah. 1 second.
Only two we can see.
Yeah. How many?
Two.
Only two,
Only two.
right? So let us take assistant director. It's higher than how many jobs?
9.
Can you see it is here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is higher than 8 jobs. Which is the highest job here?
Processing manager.
Processing manager.
Processing
Data
manager.
processing.
Data processing manager. So now by using a paired comparison method, what have you done? You have actually ranked all the jobs. So by ranking all the jobs, what have you got? You have actually got what? The relative worth. Highest to lowest or lowest to highest. Now, you only got the ranking, but how will you fix a salary grade? Any idea? How will you fix a salary grade? So typically, what do we do then? We start clustering, or what we say as, the cluster analysis technique. So we will group together jobs of similar nature. Now, can you tell me what are those jobs which are at least one, one set of jobs which are similar? 1,
File
2,
clerk with the data operator.
3, 4. All of them belong to typically the clerical cadre. Like say, for example, the file clerk, okay? Then the data entry operator, then the control clerk, then the computer operator. They all fall into a typical what? Even the control clerk. They all fall in the typical one category called the clerical cadre. So what do I do then? I look at market data and then create the salary ranges. So I won't use this time now. When I go to the grading part, because I will use that method of cluster analysis and show you how we use market data to create grades. Okay. Now let's go to the next job grading. Has anybody heard of job grading or job classification method? Both are the same. Job grading and job classification method. The very word job grading, what does it suggest? Anybody? What does it
Grading the
suggest?
job. Grading the job.
Grading the job.
jobs.
So typically what
Job
happens
grading is
in
also known as job identification and job grading.
job
is the same.
classification. Yeah, job classification method. Okay. So in this method, what do we do? Say, for example, there are 50 jobs or 40 jobs or 40 positions. Okay. We group them together irrespective of the function. They could be HR, they could be finance, they could be production. So we group them together. So when we group them together, we actually create a predetermined grade level descriptors. We actually create a predetermined grades based on similarities of duties, responsibilities, skills, and complexity. Let me actually go to a Excel sheet because it will help you to understand better to create. Okay. So when I said, okay, there could be 10 jobs, 20 jobs, 30 jobs, what do? We create something called a predetermined grid. Now I will determine whether I want 5 grades or whether I want 6 grades or 7 grades, depending on the complexity of the organization. Okay. Say, for example, I have here how many grades here? Grade 1 to grade 5, 5 grades. Grade 1 being the lowest and grade 5 being the highest. Now, having said that, I also need to identify compensable factors. Has anybody come across a name called compensable factors? Compensable factors are those factors for which I pay. Say, for example, when you actually recruit somebody, you are looking at what? Education, right? You are looking at what? Experience. You are looking at maybe product knowledge. Okay. or certain competencies. But when we are evaluating a job, we are saying this job needs particular know-how. It could be in terms of what? Skills, education, etc. It needs certain amount of experience. It needs certain amount of what? Span of control. So there could be many compensable factors. Like, for example, yeah, qualification, product knowledge, experience level. Lower the requirement of a compensable factor, the job could be lower and you're going to pay lesser. Higher the compensable factor, the job could be higher and you're going to pay more. Can you name some compensable factors? Let me see. Can you name some compensable factors? For example, in a higher job, decision making. Any other? Budgetary control. Higher the job,
Leadership.
there will be more number of people, business impact, client interaction. So these are some of the compensable factors for which we pay. Say, for example, safety. Can that be a compensable factor?
Yes.
Can that be a compensable factor?
Yes.
Yes.
Who said yes? Yeah, Nitin, tell me why. Nitin?
Basically, safety, it compares with complete organizations, people,
Hmm.
safeties, and enhancing the complete process of the organization, where safety takes a crucial role.
Ah. See, I want you to differentiate between a compensable factor, which are not compensable factors. Now, safety is required for all the employees across the organization, maybe if you are in a refinery, pipelines, etc. Okay, but it does not mean that lower the job, less safety, higher the job, higher safety. It's the same. So, therefore, it is not a compensable factor. Punctuality. Can that be a compensable factor? Are you going to pay for that? It is required. You may reward, you may have an incentive saying 100% attendance, I will pay something, I'll give some incentive. But it cannot be a compensable factor. Are you differentiating between what can be a compensable factor and what cannot be a compensable factor?
But, but I have a
Something which keeps increasing as the job increases in complexity or in terms of responsibility or in terms of effort, those become compensable factors. Like, for example, here, skill required. A lower job will have lesser requirement of skills. A higher job will have higher requirement of skills. Let's say for an architect, an IT architect may require higher skills, but at a very, a software engineer who's just doing coding may require less skills. Got it? Budget control. Maybe at a top job, he has a higher budget control. A lower level, he has a lesser budget control. You're going to do an
in that
exercise. So
sense,
therefore, you
but
have to
in
be
that
very clear about it. Huh? Okay.
sense,
Yeah.
I have a
So
question. In terms of the safety that you mentioned, right? You told that is not a compensable factor.
that's a requirement.
No, no, but then in my sense, see, if you look at, say, for example, I'll take the construction industry, for example, right?
Ah,
Now, within the construction industry, a safety officer is someone who would be looking, say, the span of control would be around 10 or 15 subcontractors or contractors or anything, right? But when you become a director of safety for a project, right, where you
mhm.
have to run the safety strategy, you have to talk to your clients, the skill required at that level is very, very different as compared to what a safety officer or a safety manager would read, right? Because here you're also doing a budgetary control of 3 or 4 projects together, right? So in that sense, that
Mhm.
becomes an compensable factor, right? Because what you pay, for example, a safety officer as compared to a director of safety would be very, very different. So in terms of that, the skill set required is very different, right? Though it is the same job part, but still they would have still the requirements at the top level is very, very different. So hence it becomes a compensable factor, right?
You gave me a very good example, but let me now give you a clarity, which is very important because when you go back and do this, you said a safety manager, right? Huh? Per
I
se,
compared it. Huh.
per
Yeah,
se
yeah, correct.
safety as a compensable factor, is it diminishing? So I'll give you a better clarity. Can you see this, what I have put in here? Because I know that this is very, very critical. Can you see are you able to see compensable factor suitability?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the criteria? Does this factor differ in level, complexity, scope between jobs? Got it? When we are identifying, because compensable factors can be different for different organizations. All right? Huh? Because you are going to pay for it. Like, for example, is this something the organization recognizes in pay decision, not just from a performance point of view? And also, can the factor be clearly defined, assessed, and rated? Okay, so these are some of the criteria for necessary you need to look at when you are deciding on what could be the compensable factors. But by and large, generally, the common compensable factors are what? Education, experience, technical, span of control, creativity, etc. What can't be a compensable factor? I've also written it. Attendance. Can it be a compensable factor? No,
No.
absolutely right. It is required at all levels, but there is no differentiation. Is there differentiation? That's the key for the compensable factor. Problem solving. Will it have differentiation across different levels of jobs? Yes or no?
Yes.
Hey guys, this is very critical before you
Yes.
jump into an exercise, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Lower level of jobs, an HR executive will have a very lower, less degree of problem solving, but an HR manager a little more. But a chief of HR, CHRO will have very high level. Physical effort, yes, it varies, right? So these are some of the things you need to keep in mind when we are deciding or determining the compensable factors. Let us come back to this interesting. Okay. Yeah. So having said that, then step one, I determine the number of grades. Now, if your organization is very, very complex, obviously there'll be more grades. And they could also be more compensable factors. Okay. Then you also need to understand whether you want to have a narrow band or a broad band. Anybody who understands narrow band and a broad band? What is a narrow band?
Narrow band is when it's a
Typically,
shorter
an
time.
organization, yeah. Chanel, yeah, sorry too. I couldn't hear. Please carry on. You
No,
said
you're okay.
something. Yeah,
Um,
you said something.
the narrow band, I believe, is when the employee has a shorter amount of time to get to the top of the salary, and a broader band is when they have a longer time to get to the top of the salary.
Yeah, maybe I'll show you. I will just show you this because it's important to show how it looks like a narrow band. In an organization, typically, you have grades or bands, right? You have grades or bands. That is, an organization can have what? Like a public sector. Think of it. It'll have, if a person has to stay on for 30 years, it'll have 15 grades or sometimes even 20 grades. I mean, 15, 20 is the largest. So, narrow band. That means every grade has a very small, narrow range. The difference between the min and the max, the salary range, that is the difference between the min and the max, is very narrow. So in 2 or 3 years, he come to the maximum and then he gets promoted. So there are many grades. Today, in most of the organizations, they follow a broadband structure. What is a broadband? That is the difference between the min and the max of every band. Can you see my cursor? Say, for example, the difference between here and here is very wide, broad. So that every 2 years, 3 years, you do not actually have to do promotion. Only when the employee has acquired considerable competencies, he is then promoted to the next band. Most of the IT organizations are, or at least the, client-facing organizations, they typically have a broad banding because they have something like a 5 or 6 grades or 5 or 6 bands. But you can also have sub bands in each band. Like, for example, in this band, you have 3 sub bands. Again, in this band, you have 3 sub bands. But whereas here, the difference between this and this is so narrow. So after 2 or 3 years, he gets promoted, then promoted. So typically, public sector, large bureaucratic organizations, there's not much of flexibility in the role. They actually follow this narrow band. Okay. Any questions here, guys? Between narrow band and broadband?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
So then, if there is no difference, then why use a narrow band and broadband? What is the actual need to use both?
What is the actual need to use?
I can
Okay.
understand the broad because obviously even in our organization we use a broader, right? So
So
it's
first
a
of all,
lot of
let me just make you understand that who uses, as I said, large public
time
sector organizations,
period
government organizations. Now here,
to come even to
the jobs are
yeah.
very stable. They don't change. The market dynamic, there's not much of a change. They don't change. They're very stable. Okay. They're rigid. They're not so much flexible. So what happens? The tenuity of this position, so narrow band, is not more than 3 to 4 years. So after every 3 to 4 years, when, like, if you look at the public sector, they get promoted first by the sheer tenuity. Only after they reach middle or top, then they start. There is a selection procedure, etc. So what happens? The job really as such does not change. That's the difference. The job does not change. When I say job does not change, the role and the responsibility does not change much. It's only a titular. I've gone to the next level. I've gone to the next level. But you actually see that a person who's been promoted in a narrow band essentially does the same thing even when he is promoted to a higher band. Are you with me? Smaran, I think it was Smaran. Huh? Okay. But
Yes, got it.
in the broadband, what happens? They're mostly self-managed teams. You have a broad. Now, you can start a particular position in a HR at one a salary point of that band, and you can have a higher salary in the same grade for another position in a different function in the same. So that means it gives you the flexibility of not necessarily actually having to push the people into higher grades, but give them higher salaries, keeping them in the same grade. Are you with me?
Got it.
Huh? Like, for example, I can start an HR guy at a lowest level. I can maybe take another person, maybe a salesperson or a IT person who needs to be in the same grade, but at a higher salary in the same grade. Because the grade, that is the difference between the min and the max, is very wide, very wide. But having said that, you may get higher salary as a base salary, but the benefits will be the same, because there are certain times, many positions, you don't want to put them into higher grades, but you may have to give them higher salary. Now, if you have a narrow band, how will you give a higher salary? Because the higher salary is at a higher grade. Got it? Essentially, that job may not be doing actually executive level or strategic level, but you have to put it at a lower grade, but you want to put a higher salary. So therefore, in today's time, you also have a broadband structure where you can provide various positions in the same grade, but at different pay points. Got it? Okay. Having said that, here if you see this predetermined grid, it has 5 grades. Then it has 5 compensable factors. That's the second one. Now, the third, you need to write descriptions, grade descriptions for know-how at grade 1, know-how at grade 2, know-how at grade 3. So how do you know that? You have to study the jobs, etc., and then get a little understanding and saying, hey, the lowest job will have this, the higher job will have this. Okay, so if you can see, like say, for example, in a span of control, at a grade 1, he is just an individual contributor. At a grade 2, small team. At a grade 3, 15 to 20 people. Now you have an exercise. So there is an organization, a manufacturing organization. I will show you those now. I'll open up that. There is production, there is project management, infrastructure, IT, and finance and HR. So there are about 3 or 4 positions in every function. What you need to do is you need to do job grading. So when we say job grading, now I want to take 20 positions, any 20 positions, and do evaluation and then slot them into whether they are into grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. Okay. So like for example, yeah. So after doing the evaluation, I want to take not just 10 positions and say, hey, these positions come under grade 1. These positions will come under grade 2. These positions will come under grade 3. So what are you doing? Slotting those positions into grades irrespective of their function. And how do you do them? You have to actually create this predetermined grid. So for the purpose of actually this exercise, I want you all to make only 4 grades, grade 1 to grade 4. That's the step 1. Step 2, use 4 compensable factors, easy compensable factors, because you are at a learning point. You can use education, you can use experience, span of control, creativity, etc. And then create descriptors like this, saying that at a lower grade, it needs a lesser knowledge, lesser experience, and at a higher grade, it needs higher experience and higher knowledge. Take any 10 positions, and I want you to do the job grading. Now, I'll just go to that sheet where we have, I will show you where they are, the positions. Say, for example, I'll just take this quality assurance. I'll take human resource. Okay. If you go, Vilma has sent you. So like, for example, in this job family of human resource, you have position 1, position 2, and position 3. And how many? Yeah. I think there's one more. Okay. So likewise, in every job family, you have about 3 or 4 positions. All right. Don't go by the title when you are evaluating. Take a good mix of 10 positions. Don't take all the positions from the same function or family. And I want you to first prepare step 1, prepare the grid, prepare the predetermined grades and their descriptors, and then evaluate the job descriptions and then slot them into whether they come into grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Is that very clear? I'm going to help you all when you go into your breakout rooms. Vilma, can you put them into breakout rooms so that I can also guide them and help them?
Yeah, sure.
In
I'm
the
opening.
meanwhile, please download your positions. Okay? Not able to connect. Okay. Step 1, I want one of you to actually use Excel format. Yeah, who is the coordinator here? Who wants? Neeti? Okay. So, step 1, what will you do? You will put the you will
Compensable
determine the
factor.
grades. No, you will determine the grades, number of grades you want to. So depending on whether you want a narrow band or a broad band, but here for the purpose of learning, we are going to have 4 grades or 5 grades. Okay, we can have 5 grades. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now in the A column, you can have those 4 compensable factors below the cell. Yeah. Non compensable factors. Okay, depending on the organization, some assumptions, and looking at that is a manufacturing organization, and you have about 20 or 22 positions there, but we are going to do only 10 positions. So look at compensable factors. A, compensable factors are not different for every position. They are the same, they remain constant for all the positions. Okay, so now you can, the common compensable factors for easy to learn today, you can write education as one of them. Now you do the exercise. I want you to write there. I'll be helping you all. Yeah. Ask the group. What else?
So Niti, we thought of taking the JD for project management.
So again, I told you compensable factors are not for project by project or function by function. You have to look at
Correct.
all the jobs existing in that organization
In that
and
organization.
compensable factors which are common across all the jobs. So therefore, the compensable factors will increase with the diversity and complexity. So here to keep it simple, yeah, you can
Not to
have
mention
education,
team management.
experience,
Team
decision
management
making.
also.
Okay. Team management
Leadership.
in span of okay. All right. Would you like
Experience.
to change team management into something else? Experience is very simple.
Right.
Education experience. So under education, you write experience direct, then better.
Maybe reportees.
Yeah, you have written span of control, experience, decision making. Yeah, that's good enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4. Keep 4 because you're learning, because you need to do some more things. Team management you can avoid. Okay. Now you divide the work. You give, or as a group, you look at 10 positions or 15 positions from different functions, and quickly you write the uh, grade descriptors. Because without descriptor, how will you evaluate? How will you look at the job and say, hey, this goes into grade 1? So for education, grade 1, what should it be? For grade 2, what should it be? So you write the um, descriptors. Okay, I'll leave you here so that you guys can think more, because it will be like me doing the exercise. Okay,
Okay.
grade
Yeah,
2
sure.
also graduate. Okay, who's doing, Niti or Tiwari ji?
Niti.
Niti is to.
Niti, just keep it to grade 4 only, because it will take more time then. Just delete grade 5. Yeah.
Maybe in this we can add uh, project graduation plus certifications.
Hmm.
Experience 0 to 2.
Zero.
Yeah.
0.
0 to 2, 3. Yeah.
So typically what happens is as you go to a higher grade, the number of years of experience, right, required
Increases.
is, you are promoted only when, you have more number of years of experience. So it increases. Present it. We can use the same breakout room for presentation,
Yes, they
and
can
then
do
we
it here.
can come back. Yeah. Who wants to present? At least the process. I want to make sure that you have understood the process of job grading. Yeah. Anybody? Um, so step 1, when you do job evaluation based on using the technique of job grading, you need to get the current job descriptions of all the jobs you want to evaluate. Typically, when you do an exercise of job evaluation, you are doing at least 80% of the jobs which are there. Okay. B, you then determine the number of grades you want based on your compensation philosophy, whether you are wanting to do a narrow banding or a broad banding. So here, for the purpose of learning, we have taken, okay, 5 grades. Then step 2, you need to identify the compensable factors for which you want to pay. So here we have taken education, experience, span of control, decision making. Now, step 3, you need to write descriptors for all the grades vis-a-vis the compensable factors. Okay, so you have written them. Now, the last step, you need to evaluate the jobs. How do you evaluate the jobs? You have to take the job descriptions and then match them as a whole, the overall, not just maybe education or just experience. No, you have to match all the 4 compensable factors descriptors for every grade and see, evaluate the positions can be slotted into which grade based on the best matching, how well they match. Okay. Now, for example, just to add a little more, decision making. So typically, when you write decision making, a great descriptor, today, of course, you have a chat GPT and you can take the help of it. So one could actually write something like, on a grade 1, that means you are taking decisions, routine decisions. Like, say, what kind of decisions does this data entry guy take, or a clerical role take? So there is no, I mean, very little discretion, right? They have to do the same job and work is closely supervised. So there's not much of decision. So routine. Then you can, so likewise, you can actually then look at grade 2. So rather than saying no, no, or even decision making low, even extra, I mean, medium and high, but you can also have a little more qualitative descriptors. Okay. Having said that, I'm assuming that all of you looked at the job descriptions and then mashed them as a whole to the grade descriptors. And now we have positions like project engineer, factory HR executive, quality analyst who fall into grade 2. Then there are 2 positions who fall into grade 3. Then there are 5 positions who fall into grade 4. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 who fall into grade 5. So this slotting has been done based on the compensable factors, descriptors, which have been there for grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. Now, so you know that these positions are into their respective grades. So what does it mean? Irrespective of whether it's in the project or whether it's in the HR or whether it's in a quality analyst, they all fall into the same grade called grade 2, or project lead QA fall into grade 3. Now, what is the next thing you will need to do as a compensation person if you have already slotted them into grades? What is the next thing we need to fix for them? So I want some participation. So what did we do just now in the breakout? What was the activity about?
Assigning job grades using the job
Yeah.
descriptions, not the title.
So what we did was job grading exercise, which is actually a technique, one of the techniques for job evaluation. So what is the outcome when we did this job grading? The outcome is, for an organization, when we do this, what happens? It gives you a structured, fair, and transparent job hierarchy within an organization. Like, for example, if you actually look at your work, you have put certain jobs in grade 1, certain jobs in grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. So therefore, you have established certain kind of a hierarchy within an organization, which are the jobs of a higher worth, which are the jobs of lower worth. Okay. Using what? And how did you get, get to do it? Using a predefined criteria. Got it? Okay. Having done that, now you need to design what? salary structure. You have to assign salary ranges. How would you do that? You would do it through again another technique called cluster analysis. For easy understanding, I've already done some work. Can all of you see, or you want me to make it a little bigger for you?
It's good where it is to
Okay.
me.
Good.
Clear?
Yeah, it's looking good. Yeah.
Okay. So what we do after job grading only gives you positions irrespective of functions which are into grade 1, grade 2 of relative worth, put them into hierarchy. But now you need to assign salary ranges. How would you do that? There is a technique called cluster analysis. How do you go about? This is another pre-work which I had done earlier on. So there are 8 positions here. They are not related to the breakout activity you have done. Okay. Now, these 8 positions, I have done a similar exercise of slotting them and doing a job evaluation. Say, for example, I slot engineer in grade 1, finance executive in grade 2, HR executive in grade 2. Okay. So you have seen that I've listed out all the positions, 8 positions. I've also listed out the grades. Clear till here? Now, to assign or to fix salary ranges, you need to have market data. I'm sure everybody understands what is market data. That means you have to collect what is the market paying for a position called an engineer in this manufacturing organization. So you have to get market data of a similar pure company. And in today's times, you have published data, you have paid data, you can get it from both the sources. You also can actually Google and salary payscale.com. It gives you a lot of market data, updated current market data. But if you are using free sources, I always insist that you must use at least 2 sources to validate. Okay. Having said that, for example, here I have given, and this is in Indian rupees for Dubai and also for US. You can consider them as dollars and likewise dirhams. So this is market salary per month, right? For an engineer, the market is paying for a similar job 20,000. It could be dollars, it could be rupees. So likewise 20, 22, 25. So this is market data. Now, how do I do cluster analysis? It can be done mechanically also, but very easy to use the Excel format. So what you do simply to do a cluster analysis, I would always say do a scatter graph. Sorry. Okay. Now insert and then go to charts, use the scatter. You can see this. 1 second. Let me actually delete this. I will use a cut. Okay. Insert. Scatter. Now, just click on any of this and do a right click. Add trend line. Okay. Can you see a trend line?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But what can you see in this? You really can't make out much. I purposely did this because sometimes you really need to understand that. So, what do I need to do? Before I go to this, I need to look at my data. Okay. I'll cut this. See, can you make out anything? Nothing. So what you need to do is get your data in place in the sense engineer. So grade one, grade one, grade one, put all of them together. Then you can, then again, HR executives, finance executive too. So rather than taking all the positions, you just click this data, because these are some basic mistakes we do. Now look at how the data will show you. Now can you make out anything from this chart? Absolutely. Click on this and add a trend line. So how many positions in grade one? 3 positions.
Three
How many
positions.
positions in grade 2?
Three.
3 positions. How many positions in grade 3?
Two
The
positions.
data is having only 8 positions, so it's showing this data. It can have many more and it will definitely show you more. Now, how do you actually then assign salary ranges? Take the position at the minimum in that particular grade. So, if you see this, I'll just shift this. So, it is say about 18,000 market data, right?
15,000.
Okay, 15 or 8. You can also make it
Correct.
as, okay, I'll say 15. All right, I'll put it as 15. 1, 5. Done? Okay. And what is the maximum here? Around 20?
Yes.
Okay. So this data is median data. What is median data? Average data, you can call it. Now, if your company has a philosophy of leading, then you can also take market data of a higher percentile. This is typically, I've taken data of a 50th percentile, that is average data. Okay. So the grade 1, let me just, okay. So grade 1, so the minimum, the salary range minimum is how much? 15,000 and maximum is 20,000. Now go to the next grade 2. What would this be?
20.
20. And what is this one?
30.
Say
Or
if I want to
25.
extrapolate it and saying, okay, fine, I want to, because you are not giving a salary, you are only designing a salary structure. So I'll say, okay, fine, because the positions of you, I will make it as 30. So grade 2, I made it as 20 to 30,000. Now you'll see that because the positions are few, you will see that grade 3, it's around 55,000. So I've extrapolated it to 70,000. So I put it as 50,000 to 70,000. A, there are 2 things you need to tackle and we will tackle one by one. Okay. 1. 15,000 and 20,000. What is the difference between 15,000 and 20,000?
5.
5.
5,000. Okay. Now you have to create bands. Now, how will you create your band? Say, for example, on an average, in your organization, on an average, in your organization, a person gets promoted after 4 years. Okay. With an increment of, say, 2,000. So that means it will equal to how much? Sorry. It will equal to how much?
80,000. 8,000, sorry.
8,000. Now, so on an average, a person gets promoted in 4 years, on an average. Now, you need to look at, you may say, but how do I determine 4 years, 3 years? Hey, guys, you need to look at your own data in your organization because you are not making salary structures every day. So you will look at average data, how many years typically, in promotions are being made, within what tenure, high performance, maybe 2 years, 3 years, but not necessarily. That will be just 1%, 0.5%, right? On an average. So having said that, now you need to look at grade 1. If I'm promoting a person, okay, after 4 years, which is typically 8,000 rupees, because every year he will get 2,000 rupees. Now, will this band let a person stay in that for 4 years, 15,000 to 20,000? It's 5,000 difference, no?
No,
What's the
no.
difference? 5,000. So what do I
5,000.
need to do? Then after he reaches 20,000, will I then shift him to grade 2? So I need to make allocation, or I need to extend this band to how much more? I have to add how much more?
3,000.
Absolutely. So this will become how much?
23,000.
Got it? Why did I make it 23,000?
Got it.
Because it allows you to have your employee stay in period of an average 4 years in this. Because after that, if he gets promoted, you come to this. But then you may say, hey, ma'am, but then it's the other band is starting at 20,000. Yes, there can be a overlap. There can be a overlap. Now, there is a science behind the overlap as to how much 10%, 15% overlap, but depending on the complexity of the organization, you can have the overlap. So, your other band is starting from 20,000. Now, the similar thing you need to check this 20,000 and 30,000 is the difference is how much? 10,000. But from grade 2 to grade 3, are you taking 5 years? Are you taking 6 years? And what is the promotion? Say, for example, I'm taking 5 years on an average with, say, again, I might give just 2,000 increment. How much does it become? Equal to 10,000,
10,
right?
10,000.
Yeah. So 20,000 to 30,000 is fine, absolutely. So I'm not extending the band. But your next band is 50,000 because of the positions you have. The next band is 50,000. But tomorrow you may have somebody here, no? How will you make additions? So you can create a sub band here saying that from 31,000 to
50,000.
how much I can make? What?
50,000.
Okay. This becomes your grade 2A. So rather than having, you can have 2 sub-bands or 3 sub-bands. Again, you can have grade 3, grade 2 only 1 sub-band, and grade 3 you can have 2 sub-bands. So that is how you do some mechanical iteration, looking at your own promotion policy, looking at your own increment policy, and then you will do the salary fixation. Is that clear, guys? Huh? Any questions here?
It's 50,000, not 5,000.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Any clarifications here?
How we can justify the sub banding between two bands?
How?
Technically, how we can justify the sub banding? Because band whatever we have calculated, it's based on data, right?
Based on data, yes.
But
So,
what is the base of sub banding? You made 31 to 50,000.
what is the basis of the banding?
Yeah, sub banding.
Now, no, because now there is no overlap here, but it is showing grade 3, right? So
Yeah.
maybe there are positions where I want to put them in the same grade, but give them a higher salary. Because higher grade means higher benefits. Now, grades are linked with benefits, while grades also have salary ranges. Because if you have somebody in one particular grade, you are linking your grades to, because all calculations, if you notice, you will calculate all your reimbursements, mobile expenses, whatever benefits. Grade 1, these are the benefits. Grade 2, these are the benefits. Okay. Now, when your creation of sub bands depends on the kind of positions with their responsibilities. So when I said grade 2 sub band, that means they're actually, I have categorized them. There will be positions where in future, but not necessarily higher in responsibilities, which will get into grade 3. But I know what happens. When we make this, you are thinking, hey, but how can we do that? How can we give? You are
We are
building a
going,
house.
when we are
Think of,
going to document it, these things, right?
yeah.
And
You are
thinking from
building
that
a house.
process. Yes.
Can I give you a very good example? You are building a house. Okay. You're
Yes, please.
creating, this is the architecture. But when you are doing that, you will create an architecture for everything. You won't say, I'm only wanting just a dining room and a kitchen and that's all. That's the one I want to create right now. You're going to create for everything. You may use it now, you may make it now, but you will create an architecture in such a way that future use, you will use that.
As provision, we can take
You are
it out.
making a provision.
Yeah,
You are a
provision
startup
we can.
today. You are a startup. Like, for example, I think there are 2-3 organizations, they represent startups, like maybe Smaran, maybe. You are not going to hire everybody, no? You're going to hire only 5. First, you will only hire heads, HODs, and few 1 or 2 people in every function. But some of the organizations will do salary how? As you hire, you will give something. As you hire, you will give something. But when you grow into larger organization, like you did the job grading, then most of the startups and other organizations come to me saying, ma'am, we actually don't have a salary structure. We started just giving, as we recruited people. But now we feel that, we definitely need to have a salary structure because we find that our salaries are not having internal equity, because again, that effort versus the worth, how much are we paying vis-a-vis the worth? So please do a job evaluation. But some organizations, right from day one, they'll say, we want a salary structure. They will go to the market, they will get all the market pricing done, and then they will list out the positions they have. They will do a salary structure. So you are making a provision. Got it?
Nirmala, can I ask
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question?
Ha.
In this
Please.
grade 2, like
Mm.
the min is 20 and 30. So
Yeah.
in my current role, suppose it is senior executive, I have 2 people, right? And the maximum salary drawn at that level by that senior executive is 30,000 with 5 years of experience. Now, because of more job requirement, requirement for that role, I hire another senior executive whose current salary is 30, and he will come at little higher salary. So since we have a scope of 31,000 to 50,000, and he has higher experience, he has 7
So
years
he
experience.
will be in 2A, but if I don't create that, then I cannot actually disturb. If I'm very, that's where the discipline comes. I need to stick by my salary ranges. So where will you then offer him? You have to offer the next grade,
No,
but he does not belong to the next grade.
no,
So
he
you
fits
have to
into
put
grade
him
2.
there.
He
Yeah.
fits
So
into
you
grade
will be
2.
in grade 2A.
Okay.
Grade 2A, grade 2B.
Okay.
So grade 1 has no sub-bands. Grade 2A, 20,000 to 30,000. Grade 2B, 31,000 to 50,000. Then grade 3, I can again have some sub-bands. Got it?
So you are saying that we can create sub-bands by 1, 2, 3 till 50.
Exactly. You will see that mostly in most of the organizations, at an entry level, they won't have a sub-band. But as you keep progressing in the job, because as you progress, the skill, the effort, everything becomes much more complex. So then you start, creating sub-bands, because the nature of the job may not be strategic or managerial, but few things. So you still can't put them in a higher grade. Okay? Huh? Can we shift
ma'am.
to another one? Because this I have to, point plan. Okay. Till now, what did we talk about? We talked about rank ranking method, and we talked about job grading. These are qualitative methods. These are methods which use the job as a whole. Whole means the entire job you take and evaluate. A little subjective because it is again, based on qualitative. But the point method, which most of the current consulting organizations use, be it Mercer, be it Hay, be it Hewitt, they all use the point method. The funda is the same, the point plan. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. So here in the point plan, it's very objective. It's very objective. Just to show you how does it look like, let me just show you the points so that you will have a better understanding. Yeah. So when we say point plan, you list out all the jobs, okay? At least 80% of the jobs. And then through this method of point plan, you assign total points for every job. For example, Vice President Sales and Marketing. The total points for this job is 460. Management trainee, the total points evaluated is 125. So obviously, the job which has higher points, 460, is much, much higher as in compared to a job which is 125. Very clear? B. So you can actually have a hierarchy of jobs based on what? The highest to the lowest. The advantage here is also when you are paying, you can make out. Say, for example, the job vice president is 460 and general manager, the points are 430. It is here 405, 430. So the difference between 460 and 430 is how much? How many points?
30.
55K.
30 points, right? 30 points. So when you actually do this point plan for all the jobs, you also can understand if vice president is getting paid much, much higher as opposed to general manager. Do you think there is fairness when you have actually evaluated the job and points are only 460 and 430, but the difference is 30 points only, but the difference in the salary is much more. So there is no fairness. So you can make out very, very clearly based on these points that the difference in the point should also um, actually confirm with the kind of salary you are giving within the job family or within the job function. Okay. So it is very objective, very transparent, very fair. So, say for example, management trainee is getting an X salary. Obviously, vice president sales, whose point value is 460, much, much higher. So, it's totally fair to give him 5 times, 6 times the salary. So, when we do compensation, we also calculate that what is the lowest job salary and what is the highest job salary, and what is the ratio, how many times it is higher. Because if you notice, sometimes in most of the organizations, the top management gets huge salary. The top becomes very heavy. So there is no rationale as to why are they giving that much of salary? Because those organizations typically don't do any job evaluation, just by handshake, say, okay, fine, we'll give X amount of salary, Y amount of salary. So there, the problem arises saying that, hey, there is no internal equity because, the salaries are not given as per the worth of the job. So how do you do that? I'll just give you one more slide. So typically what happens in point plan, you will again, first step is common. Only for step 1 is common. What is it? You are identifying compensable factors. So have you noticed? These are the factors. Say, for example, skill, education, experience, knowledge. This is only just an example of every organization will have to have its own compensable factors because it depends on the organization, the industry, the size, the scope, the complexity. Okay. So you cannot cut paste, oh, X company has these factors, I will take them. For somebody, creativity, innovation may be very, very critical. So I will pay more. Who will pay more? Can you say an example? Which company pays more?
Web3 crypto.
Huh? People who are in
Web3
the product
crypto
development,
industry.
like say Google, Microsoft, etc. Right?
No,
But for,
research and development also.
pardon?
Research and development also.
Yeah, so product development companies. But for somebody who like McDonald's or like Amazon, for them, what is very, very important? Operational efficiency, operational
Customer
excellence,
service. Yeah.
right? So for some, customer service becomes, so you can't cut paste. So therefore, it depends on what is your business focus. Is it customer or delight, or is it product leadership, or is it cost efficiency or operational excellence? So depending on the business focus, then you will derive your compensable factors. Okay. Just give a thumbs up here so that, because I am not able to see you. I don't know whether you're understanding. So it just gives me that comfort factor that yes, all is good with you. Huh? All is well. Okay. All right. So having said that, like for example, a compensable factor, working conditions. Also, where will that be applicable?
Oil and gas rigs.
Any manufacturing organizations, oil and gas, rig, there. So working conditions becomes very, very apt and very relevant there. Okay. Having said that, now let me just go back to this. I wanted to show you. Let me just go back to this sharing, saying the first step one, share. Okay. Can you see? Step one. What is step one? Identify your
Compensable factor.
compensable factors. Here you can have even 7, 8 compensable factors. Okay. What have I written? Know-how, work experience, same span of control, and creativity. Now, 2. Then determine degrees of differentiation. Determine degrees of differentiation, or determine degrees of levels. Now please be only in the step one there is commonality. After that, job grading, you have to unlearn. Here these degree 1, 2, 3, 4 are not grades, they are degrees of differentiation. So how will you define a degree of differentiation? Just to show you one very, very clearly, say for example, I have said as a part of my compensable factor, knowledge. If knowledge is one of the compensable factors, depending on the complexity of the organization, I'll look at the lower job, and I'll also look at the highest job, and look at the intensity of this knowledge required for a lower job and the higher job. And that's called degree of differentiation. It is, what is it? Intensity of that factor required for jobs. And how will you determine that number of degrees? Based on this lower job and higher job. So to give you a very interesting example, knowledge, the first degree, anybody who wants to read it, so that, when you read, I'll also feel hard. My participants, the virtual programs challenge is you always want to check whether your participants are alert or they're actually just on and they're elsewhere. Okay.
I can read it.
Uh,
I can read it.
Yeah,
Knowledge.
yeah.
This
First degree.
factor. Okay.
So definition is factor measures.
So the use of reading and writing, that, or are you talking about the factor? This factor measures which one?
Yeah. I want you to read the first degree.
Okay. Use of reading and writing, adding and subtracting of whole numbers, following of instructions. Use of fixed gauges, direct reading of instruments, and similar devices where interpretation is not required.
So it is to some extent quite simple, right? That means somebody who's doing a job at a lower level, and if I write as a knowledge, so this is what he will be requiring. But look at the fifth degree. Just look at the fifth degree, or you can read the fourth degree.
It's a big difference
Anybody?
from the first one.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to read the fourth degree? Niti, you want to read?
Yes, ma'am. Use of advanced trade mathematics equivalent to complete apprenticeship in the recognized trade or occupation, or equivalent to 2-year technical college education.
Okay. Why am I actually emphasizing on this? Now, in these degrees, when you write a definition for a first degree, it should not have any overlap with the second degree. Now, second degree's definition should not have any overlap with the third degree. Like there is an overlap in job grading descriptors. But here, because every degree, you will now assign points. So, if you have an overlap, then you are not actually evaluating a job objectively. So when you write the descriptors, the first degree's definition should not have any overlap. It should be progressive, but it should not have an overlap. Got it? I hope that is very clear. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So now how do we create this template and a point plan? Okay? So these are the compensable factors. Now, how many degrees have I given based on my own organization? I said 4 degrees. Now, descriptor, if you will see descriptor in the know-how, at a degree 1, it's only ITI. This is ITI to tell Chanel is not a graduate degree, but somebody who does something after a 12th, after finishing his school. Okay? Now, in the degree 2, it's an engineer. So definitely there is a difference between ITI, which is lower, and engineer. Now, in the degree 3, it is engineer plus certifications. And in degree 4, it is a post-graduation as well with an engineering qualifications. Is there a difference in the definitions of all these 4 degrees? Yes. Work experience, 0 to 2. I'm sorry, it should be here 3 to 5. Okay. Then 6 to 10, then 11 to 15. There should not be any overlap because it is all about points. Because then there will be a duplication of points. So you will get it wrong then. Span of control, individual, small team, 15, 20, 20, 30. Likewise, creativity. Okay. Now, how do you create a point plan? Step 1, step 2, step 3. You have to give weightages. What is the meaning of weightage to whom? To the factors. Not all factors will have the same weightage. So you have to give weightage. What is weightage? Priority. So in a startup, if these are the 4 compensable factors in a startup, for which compensable factor will you give more weightage? For which compensable factor will you give more weightage? Quick. Guys, I need to
Okay.
really prick your brain.
Creativity.
Pardon?
Work experience. Work experience.
Great. Who said that?
Me.
Good. I can't have people at an entry level people doing because startup. I need somebody who can plug and play. That means who comes with work experience. 1 second. A matured organization like Infosys, Wipro, etc., I'll take large numbers at an entry level. So, therefore, I will only look at know-how, whether they have all the subject matter, they know the knowledge, and etc., etc. So, depending on even the life cycle of your organization, you'll also consider the compensable factors. Okay. Having said that, I have given weightages 25, 25, 20, 30. Now, when you say weightage, all the compensable factors weightage should be totaling to or summing up to 100. If you have even 8, they should sum up to 100. Even if you have 10, they should sum up to 100. You cannot say, so that they should be more than. When you say weightage, it's weightage out of 100. Clear? Okay. Next, how do you then now give points to degrees? So just simple. 25 into 1, 25, 25, 25. 25 into 2, 50, 50, 20 into 2, 40, 60. So likewise, 75, 75, 60. Likewise, 25 into 400, 100, 80, and 20. Now, when you Actually, total up, all this should come to degree 1 is 100, degree 2 is 200, 300, 400. So this is a point plan of 400 points. Any questions, guys, here? Quick, because I'll go to the next one now. Any questions?
So how
At
do you
least
do this? So in
tell me.
terms of
Yeah,
weightage,
pardon?
so let's look. So I want to just understand work
Yeah.
experience. You did it at 25, right? But then you're telling me the weightage overall the calculation of your weightage should be 100, but degree 1, degree 2, degree 4, your calculation should not be 100 in terms of the compensable skill. So it can go up to whatever number it is there. Is
No,
my
it
understanding
can,
correct of this?
your weightage is 100. Weightage is out of 100, right? This is clear? Weightage is clear?
Yeah, weightage is
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Now, when you're assigning, you're only creating a grid now. When you're assigning, creating a point plan at degree 1, it's the same. 1 at degree 1. Okay, 100.
Yes,
Now
okay.
at degree 2, that means higher differentiation for intensity is higher. So you multiply the weightage by 2. You multiply the weightage by 3. 4. So because you multiplied by 2, it becomes 200, 300. You can also have a 1,000-point plan. Got it?
Okay, got it. So this technically the incremental factor depends on the internal grading or the internal thing that you need to do.
No, don't link it up. Only look at degrees and do this. This is
No, that's what
sometimes,
I'm trying to understand. See,
yeah.
for example, if I tell a degree 1 is someone who's come out of college, right?
Yeah.
And then I tell for degree 2
No,
would
I'll
be
add.
someone say,
Can I just intervene? I'll just add.
yeah,
So somebody who has come out of the college is okay. That means at a degree 1, that means that job, as I keep explaining, you'll understand. Say, for example, a data clerk. So that job in the know-how, he just needs just an ITI degree. Okay? Intensity, right?
got it.
Okay. Now, as I explained, so this is the intensity. I'm saying don't link it up to jobs right now. Then you'll have a better understanding. So know-how at degree 1 is only 25 points because it requires only ITI. But know-how at degree 2 is 50 points because it requires engineering degree. Know-how at degree 3, it requires engineering plus certification. Okay. Now I'm just telling you, I am recruiting a HR executive. Okay. HR executive. As per the job description, what I do, this HR executive, as per the job description, work experience 0 to 2 years is okay. So how many points will you give?
25.
25.
25,
Now,
yeah.
but as per the know-how, I want this person to be, say, PG.
Okay, that's a
Post-graduation.
100 pointer. That's a 100 pointer.
Then you'll get 100 points. As per the span of
Correct.
control, individual contributor, how many points will you give?
20.
20. Creativity is low and medium. So how many points will you give?
60.
60. Now, what have you done? Unlike job grading, where you looked at the entire whole job and then tried to match it with the entire, all the descriptors of all the compensable factors. Here, you are based on the job description, same, you are evaluating and you are looking at what is the intensity, at what degree is it required? Degree 1. Don't think degree is a qualification, differentiation. Okay. So it is not necessary that I will look at all at only degree 1, all one at a time. I can apportion just like this example I gave you. Say, for example, project manager. So I can say project manager, engineer with certifications. Okay, 75 points. But here, WorkX only 2 to 5 years. I'll give only 50. I'm just saying. And here, small project manager, but he's only doing 1-2 projects. Okay, small team. He's not doing large teams. Okay, so only 40 points. And then in this project, not much of creativity. So I'll only give 60 points. So what am I doing? I'm actually apportioning the points only as per the requirement of the JD. Are you now very clear, guys?
I understood.
These,
I
huh?
understood.
Yeah. Okay. No
I
others. I'm not. All right. Now, having said that, then what will you do? You have to total up all the points, just like I showed you in my presentation there. I don't want to go back there because then I'll be spending time. Huh? Now you know how to calculate. So I have for an HR team lead, say for example, if I've come to 220 points, I've actually, what have I done? Evaluated the job description and then taken points. What is it for know-how? What is it for work ethic? What is it for span of control? And what is it for creativity? And I have arrived at 220 points or 360 points or 345. Done? Now, this is very clear what I have done. These points. Any questions here? How did I arrive at the total point value for every position? Just give me a thumbs up because then I'll go to the next one. Please. Okay.
think Mihan has a question. He raised his hand up from now.
Who's having a question?
Mihan.
Niti,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
not Niti.
Yes.
Somebody has a
No,
question.
Mihan has. Mihan
Mihan.
has.
Mihan, you want to tell me
Yes.
something?
Yes. So my question is,
Please, this is a forum for learning and you should always ask. Yeah, tell me.
so my question is, can a company that has catering to multiple industries, can they have different weightages based on the industry that they are catering to?
Absolutely. I told you that right in the beginning that if your organization is very diverse, complex, then you need to break it up. Like, for example, to give you one basic example, and I'll give you a little complex example. There is an organization with IT and ITS. The nature of jobs in IT are different ITS. So you'll have to have two structures, two sets of compensable factors and create two different salary structures, right? Like, for example, in IT also, sometimes what happens, there are two structures defined, one for just pure technical people and the other for managerial people. And sometimes in a manufacturing organization, you'll have a salary structure just three levels for what shop floor people, because their progression, their career progression, etc. You can't, when you club up, then it becomes very complex. It's better not to. You can have different structures. Have I answered your
Okay.
question,
So
Mihan?
so currently what we have done is we have segregated the titles that we have into core and support. So
Yeah.
any support titles, we follow the same pay scale, regardless of the industry. For core titles, we have hospitals, we have construction, we have real estate. So the core titles is the one that differs from company to company or from industry to industry. So that approach is correct, yeah?
Absolutely. I'll tell you why. Like, for example, in support, you'll have what? Admin, facilities, infrastructure, etc., etc. Okay. But say like in core, you have health, you have hospitality. So the nature of jobs will be very, very different. Some of the compensable factors for which you want to pay in hospital may be different from, the other industry. So you can have different structures there, because it is not fair to club, because when you again align it with market, there will be so much of a difference. So I think what you're doing is absolutely right.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So you have actually calculated the point value for the position. Still here, I think we are all in agreement and we understand how we have arrived at this. Now, you look at the market data. Like, for example, Mihan said we have different. So you will have market data separately for hospital or hospitality or for pharmaceutical or for infrastructure, etc. So now I have collected market data for these positions. Done. So typically, when you do a job evaluation exercise, you can do for 80% or 75% of the jobs. So when you collect market data, when we do in the third session, market and how do you collect data, it's very, very important. At least 80 to 90% of the job description matches with that market position. Because if you are not matching it, that means you are not actually collecting the accurate data, apples to apples. Got it? Now, you may ask me one more question, but then in my organization, I'm a unique organization. I have 5% of the jobs which are very, very unique. I can't find market data because my industry is very different. 80% yes, jobs I can find, but there are 5% jobs which I can't find data. Then how will I assign salaries to them? The best part in point plan method is once you collect the market data, when you do regression, you get two values called slope and intercept. With the use of the slope and intercept, you can still calculate what salary you need to give to these unique positions, which Mercer or a Hewitt or everybody does, taking huge amount using the point value method. Because every organization will have 2 to 3% jobs which are unique. So if you have noticed here, I've left one position here purposely. Okay. So how do you actually still having the point value which is within your control, because that's the job description, then how can you know market salary, but still how will you assign the salary? How will you get a salary? So we can do that. Okay. Now, so when you do this, you will actually do this hands-on in the first, half of the next session. But let me teach you this entire thing so that you can do it. Or maybe as a homework assignment, you'll do it. Now, what will I do? I'll do a regression. Regression is a statistical technique used especially for doing this when in a point plan method, when you have to predict what is that salary I need to pay. I used a word called predict. Regression helps you to predict. Okay. It helps you to predict and also to determine or arrive at the pay line salary. Means what you need to pay. Okay. And it takes into consideration you in regression using two values, point value and market salary. So when you use regression, you should always put an X for the point value, because your Excel will only understand point value is X, which is an independent variable, and market salary is a dependent variable. Again, now the new concept here. If I'm too fast, please just give me a thumbs down saying, hey, you're too fast. Okay. When you do regression, you're using two variables, independent variable, IV, dependent variable, DV. One simple example. I'm a, I'm, I'm a lover of garden. Every day I will go give fertilizer to my plant. What will happen to the plant?
Grow
Every day I'm
fastly.
giving
It will
fertilizer,
grow.
water. Huh?
It will grow.
Grow
The plant
fastly.
will grow,
Grow
right?
fast. Yeah.
The plant will grow. Why is it growing? Because I'm actually giving some fertilizer, some water. Okay, we'll stick to fertilizer. Now, so the growth of the plant is dependent on
The fertilizer.
fertilizer, right? So growth is a dependent variable, dependency, and fertilizer is a independent variable. Okay. I'll give you another example. Very interesting. Okay. I'm studying number of hours. The more I study, I get more marks. So number of hours is independent, but the marks are dependent on the number of hours I put in. So the marks are dependent variable. So DV. So always independent variable and dependent variable. So IV is X and market salary is Y. Is that clear? Now, when you do this, you have to calculate two values for regression, slope and intercept. Okay. The formula for calculating the pay line salary is simple. If somebody has done higher mathematics or even 10th, 11th mathematics, y is equal to ax plus b. That's straight line formula. So it's the same as, so slope into point value plus intercept. To keep it simple, I'm not using ax plus b. Okay. Where a is the slope, b is the point value, to make it a little more simpler. Now, what do I do? Quickly, I have to calculate those two values. So I'll do like this. Then where will I go? I go to, okay, formula. Then, okay, we'll start with slope value. Okay. What is it asking me? 1 second. Huh? Known wise. So I have to drag data a little here. Got it? Let me just check sometimes 18 to 25. Okay. Then, okay. No, you have entered few albums also. Okay. 1 second.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
ask the
please.
question? Sorry,
Yeah.
ma'am.
I will do. Tell me.
Ma'am, I just wanted to know a little technical, but I wanted to know we can. So this is basically when you were teaching us regarding predicting the salary, right? What if we have the market salary and the annualized full time, and we have to do the regression median? In that particular case, ma'am, will this slope and intercept works?
So you have you may, if I heard you right, you said two data. You have the market data, right?
And we have the annualized full time salary data.
Annualized full-time salary. You have the annualized full-time salary.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. And
And the
for
market data.
wait. And for which obviously for say for example a position like technical manager, you are saying I have the annualized salary and I also have the market data, right?
Correct. Correct, ma'am.
Now, so you want to know, then what happens? Just see. Then you want to know, hey, you know, actually you are paying this, and depending on whether market is high or whether your annualized salary is high, you will know that you are paying lesser or higher, right? Just looking at the figures. Yes or
Correct.
no?
Correct.
Okay. But yet, you also want to see if there is parity. You are having salaries, you have collected market data. You want to see if there is internal equity, whether you are paying, if there is a fairness in the way you are paying across the jobs because relative worth. So keep your annualized salary separately. Keep it as another column and look at do the point values because you can't do regression with two market data. You have to have point values. So first do point value and market salary, then you will get a pay line salary. Then look at your pay line salary and your annual salary. Got it? Niti, did you get it? Then you will get pay lines where one is the current and you will also get what through regression it has thrown up, what it should be or whether you are paying more or whether you are less. Okay, you can do that.
Yeah, ma'am,
But
I understood, but
you
I think
can't do regression with both only salary data points. Got it?
yeah, I understood, ma'am. Maybe if I have further question, I can reach out to you.
Yeah, but this is clear, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.